Hello, Retail Rebel friends, family, and customers. I I'm Nathan Wright. I'm CEO of Retail Rebel, and I absolutely love virtual town hall meetings. And if you're here, welcome. If you're watching this after, we tend to leave these up, and it allows folks to make some comments and questions, suggestions, and we go back and we will respond to as many as we possibly can. But if you've done the virtual town hall meetings, you know the format. The format is that we go through. We do surveys for about a week before that. We'll start reviewing all of the surveys, and we always have the surveys up, so you can always do the suggestions. Admittedly, I think right now we do really, I would say, a very thorough look through, read through. We make comments and we socialize it throughout the company on things that we can improve on pretty much a monthly basis, and so really helps us get an idea of what the feedback is and how people like it. So um, right now, you'll notice we have comments on here, so feel free to ask questions. Feel free to put which store is your main store in there. That way I can also see, make sure that the comments are working properly. Looks like we've got a bunch of people in already, and a bunch more joining right now. So um, and then as always, we typically have a few different moderators on here that help in answering questions that might be asked. If I don't get to them right away and they know the answers, they'll go in and give questions. So Anne is here with Olathe. So Olathe's gone through probably the biggest change of all, and I've certainly seen and heard a bit on that. And so we're going to go through the survey results, but there's been a lot that we've been having going on, and Danielle's on here, and Danielle, I'll go through that as well. Um, so uh, let's go ahead and start with a bunch of the news, a bunch of the things that are going on. We have been incredibly busy the last little bit. So, uh, Retail Rebel has been adding auctions now the last few months to Belton store, the Olathe store, to KCK was the first, and then most recently Claycomo. We will be for sure adding an auction to Council Bluffs, but we're not sure exactly when we're going to do that. So we're gonna take a minute and go through, because now we have auctions in kind of the four stores in the area around Kansas City, and we really want to make sure that we're getting our execution right, and because this is new, and we have a lot of training to do. To do something like what we're doing it's a big undertaking, and there's a lot of training. There's a lot of training on the at the distribution center when we're processing it and trying to get better at identifying the conditions and being accurate with our descriptions. We how we train our hosts to work with folks when they come to pick up their goods, and how even things like how full do we stack those boxes. So when you're trying to pull, there's some good suggestions. I'm going to read through a bunch of the survey results which touch on that. But there's a lot that's going on there, and then but it's not just that. As over the last month, as we've been focusing on really just launching these auctions quickly, getting people trained, and training customers how the auctions work. We're now pivoting over and really looking at the outlet and getting you may have noticed, I think in August, I don't think we had a single sale in August, and it was really just this big focus on the auction side of it. So now we're putting a lot of attention on getting our auctions running smoothly, and then getting the store sales going again, and really doing there's a number of big things going on with the store. So as many of you know, last weekend on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we did a food and drink and apparel clothing sale at 40% off. And that's a huge discount. That's a discount off of our already existing discounts. Well, this weekend, starting tomorrow, Friday, it's a 50% off store wide sale. So that's we don't usually do the 50% off store wide sale. That's a big one, and so that's going to be for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only, um, and so the outlet's going to be very very busy, and it's really an opportunity for us to just move a lot of product because we have a ton of product that's coming into the stores over the next few months. We've ramped up the amount of inventory we have. We've got it ready. We're going through and doing the scanning to get the discounts. So if you do the QR codes on the items, you should start seeing a much bigger discount starting to come through on a lot of the different items that have been there a while. And so we're really actively working on turning that inventory so we can get this new stock in. And so 50% off, that's going to be anywhere that has an outlet. Um, and let's see. Yes, and Danielle asked, about the misinformation on the descriptions and the items in the auction, and a lot of it. So there's a few different things that go with that. I mean, it's not an advantage to Retail Rebel to have the description or the condition not match what it is. Because we offer a full refund on that, and we're trying to be as accurate as possible. And so we've gone through, we've looked at kind of what types of returns we have, what are the return codes, like what are the reasons that people are returning items in auctions, and we're addressing kind of the bigger swaths of problems. And so we're changing some of the condition codes to be a little bit clearer in certain cases, and some of the codes are so specific that we never use them, and so we're trying to be more in line there, and we're going to put what the inspection protection guarantee is out there for everyone as well, and certain types of products we're starting to identify what types of products have really high return rates. And so that way we can do a deeper inspection at the warehouse before it goes over to the stores. Um, so it's all a part of like evolving and getting better. And one of the reasons that we want to do this before we start increasing and adding more auctions to Council Bluffs and adding more stores through for Retail Rebel. I mean, ultimately, the goal is next year to open up, 6 new stores. That's our goal. That's going to be probably 4 in the surrounding area, where it's going to be probably further than I know. I can tell you, like right now, Omaha, Nebraska is on our short list. Topeka is on our short list, and so we'll make official announcements when we actually secure a place. Um, we'll certainly look at other places like Lawrence, Kansas. Uh, I'm not sure where that is. I'm still learning the Midwest, this portion of the Midwest. I grew up in Illinois, so I consider myself a raised in the Midwest. But yes, that there's so we're going to be looking at. Jerry asks which stores have outlets. So um, the Council Bluffs does, Audubon does, Belton does, KCK does, Claycomo does. The only one in the Midwest that does not right now is Olathe, and and I'm going to talk about that. Olathe is a 25,000 square foot store, and we were looking at it. And we decided to remove the outlet from it and put in the auctions and expand the bins. And the reason that we did that is because the bins do really really well in Olathe, and the store was okay. It didn't do. We look at like the sales per square foot. How much sales are we getting on per square foot, and and I know that certainly in the surveys I have this. You'll see me read a lot from like right in front of me, because I have the survey results up, and I'll go through the surveys. And there were a number of call outs, about people that like to shop the outlet, in Olathe. Now they go to Belton, to do their outlet shopping. And we look at that. We certainly like the feedback, and we're kind of balancing it out. Ultimately, what we'd like to do is kind of shrink a section of that store down, and have add the outlets again back in there. That's not a plan that we're going to do, in the next few months. It's something that we want to see how this, what we call an express model, how this smaller footprint store of just the auctions and just the bins works, and what the feedback is. How do customers like it? If the outlet is definitely an important part of the business, and it's going to be a big part of the future of the business. But we're going to test out different formats. That's part of why we do these virtual town hall meetings, is because we're building something. We're a lot different than a lot of traditional stores. You go to a Ross store, which I love Ross. I think Ross does a great job. But their stores are all like, if you've been to one, you go to the next one and it's almost the exact same. You go to the next one, it's the exact same, and that's they're at scaling mode. They're replicating. With us, we're still doing a little bit of discovery. We're trying out the different formats and see what people like, and get as much feedback as we can. Um, let's see. Always hiccups. So Vicky, you're doing great. There's always hiccups. They just happen, yes. But your customers appreciate the transparency and efforts to do better. I ain't paying retail. That is excellent, and I really appreciate that, Vicky. Like, so one of the reasons that we do the virtual town hall is because we and have live comments. I've done these for, in the southeast stores for a very long time, for almost 2 years now. And there's only been one time ever that we've had, someone that really kind of came on and wasn't trying to be constructive. Um, but every other time, I think this has been an area of transparency where we're able to kind of go through and talk about what we're doing, and we recognize. I think we recognize what is working, and we recognize what's not working, and letting our friends, family, and customers know that we recognize the areas that we need to improve in, and if we don't, the surveys and the feedback that we get on here really helps, in making sure that we are prioritizing it right. And so, that's part of the, if you want to, do something, build a business, the easiest way to do that is to do a franchise. If you want to do something that's super rewarding, build something that's totally new, but it's hard. And retail auctions, I know, you mark my words, you can timestamp this, you can cut this little piece of video out. I know that in the future the retail auctions are going to be all over the place. I know it. What we are doing right now, we're the only ones doing it. Retail Rebel / Buggy Busters in the Southeast are the only companies that are doing these retail auctions. There are auctions similar to this that are in warehouses and various places, but to blend it in with a bin room and with the outlets is something that's unique to what we're doing. And so we're pioneering a lot of the things, and I think it makes for a fun experience, and I hope that it saves a ton of money for everyone, this holiday season. We're really excited. That was one of the reasons that we pushed so hard to get them out to so many stores. But we want to make sure that we really get everything right, over the next little bit, for the big holiday season, because we have a lot of inventory, really good stuff, really high value stuff that we're going to be pushing into the auctions, over the holidays. And so I can tell you that Retail Rebel customers will have a Black Friday option that is not like any other. I mean, you will get incredible savings. It's going to be a ton of fun, and it's going to impact all of the sides of the store, including especially like the bin store is going to be huge. So right now the bins, um, let's see. So I actually, Marcia asked the question: will you be addressing the situations where and when the customer finds items in the bins that they won't sell us because they said that they should have been in auction? This is wrong, and actually, Marcia, I'm going to address this one head on because it is wrong, and it's wrong that the retail associates told you that if that's what happened, because that's not the case. And I know that has in this particular one, and I did read your survey on here, and I also saw your post on it on a different Retail Rebel Facebook post, and so I'm glad you're here, and I can address this one specifically. That because when I saw that, I said, wait a minute, what is going on? That is not our policy. We do not pull things out of the bins to put in auction. Full stop. This is coming from the CEO of the company. That is not what we do. Um, what that is was that if there's open phones that could potentially have someone's personal information on it, that is a problem. That's what we have to make sure that there isn't anything like that that could hold someone's personal information in it. Um, Beyond how we handle that, I think it's a I believe, and from what I've been told, it's a fairly isolated case. But what I want to make sure that you and all of our customers know that is not the policy to pull stuff out of the bins to put onto auction. We don't do that. In fact, it goes the opposite direction. So any items that don't sell in auction at the $10 threshold, we'll pull all that product and it ends up going into the bins, and we'll eventually sell either on $11 a day, $7 a day, $3.60 day, any of those other days, and that's where the bins really come in handy, is to liquidate out that stuff. And we've had $100 items that didn't get a bid, dresses or product clothing that didn't have sizing information mistakenly, and so because no one knew what size it was, they're not bidding on it, and so it goes out to the bins from there. So to be clear, that is just absolutely not the case. But we do try to protect our suppliers that we buy from, to make sure that there's no personally identifiable information on any of the product that we're selling, and that's really through any of our channels. We do that. Let's see. Karita says this happens at KCK all the time. We certainly will look at that. Boxes. Needs to be organized. Sure the items in the auction are complete. Several complete. So there is a lot of good discussion in here. I'm going to just start going down. Let's see. Okay, so can I get the phone, pick it up, back, fine, no info on it? Honestly, I feel like that's fair. So Marcia says, asks, okay, so can I get the iPhone I found back after you find no info on it? I think that sounds like a fair deal, and so Donna, reach out to Marcia. Let's run that one down, because that should be the policy. I mean, because again, the bins are supposed to be like this fun discovery place, and if you find like a really good item like that, that's the benefit of the bins. So I think so. Green, I know that it sounds like you've had a bad experience in one particular store. I don't think it's all just one store, but Let's see. So, and I'm seeing a few comments. Let's. So what I want to say. What I want to say is, so I'm seeing a few of these comments. Let me just tell the moderators that are going and hiding some of the comments. Let's not hide, just even if they're negative. If they're that's I mean, so I'm unhiding one of them. And I would say let's not necessarily. I would say to our customer base, let's try not to call out specific stores on the chat, because we do have associates, from each of the stores that, and I know that we have good associates in all of the stores. I've met them at least, and of course, not all of them know who I am, but if you're having a particularly bad experience with a store, I think that's where the surveys are a really good place to put that. And I promise you, we look at that, we provide that feedback to our store management, to our leadership that's over the stores, and we do want to address that. Because I think that there's training issues. I think that there's really good ways to handle this crazy world of mixed goods. Um, so Cindy asks a really timely question. Why do you sell drinks that are expired? Bought and sure for my husband, and they had to throw them all out. Um, that's a great question, Cindy, and one that we are phasing that all out. In the retail side, on the outlet, we are going to start if it hits that. So let me explain one of the things, and this was the logic that was kind of put out there, for with Retail Rebel for a long time, that the best buy date is not an expiration date. The best buy date is when the item is best. It's more of a marketing tool, and I can tell you that there's a lot of studies that show that food is good well beyond the best buy date. But we want to build up confidence and trust in the food that's in the outlet. And so what we're going to do is, if it's past that best buy date, we're going to start sending all of that to the bins. And so we really want to get it so any food that's in the outlet side, now it's going to take a minute to get through it and go through and make sure, but that's a big change that we're making. It's a huge change. But we want the food not to be past the best buy date. Expired food, if it's an expiration date, that should be, if it's like, baby food that's expired, that's trash. That shouldn't be out there at all. If it's just past the expiration date, we'll send it. And I don't know what the thresholds are yet. We're still working on that. But anything that's just past the expiration date can go to the bins. Because I know there are a lot of customers that I've worked in retail entities that had a full section. They called it their half price section, and it was anything that passed the expiration date. And there were customers that would flock in there and get a ton of that stuff because they can save a ton of money on food that's just fine. And so we're trying to create extreme value in this product. So that's going to be a huge change that we're making. Is that hopefully over the next 2, 3, 4 months, you're going to start seeing a lot less food that's past that best buy date in our outlets, and so that's it's like what Rich says. I eat expired stuff from there all the time, no problems ever. I'm in the same boat as Rich. I eat product that's past the expiration date all the time, and my wife is on the other end of that, where she's like, if it's past the expiration, she won't touch it. And both of us are healthy, happy people. And so I think that there's still value in it, and then I think that's also where the bins can come in handy. So that's what we're gonna do. That we're gonna try this for a while and make sure, like, it's that product is getting turned as fast as possible. That's one of the benefits of the bins, is that with that product, it goes like in a week. It's gone, and so hopefully you'll see a lot more food in those bins, and you can do the bags of food for an incredible deal. Um, and yeah, and honestly, like I think Shyla's weighing in on this. That is, I think if there's a market for customers that are comfortable with expired product, which I think there is here. We've certainly seen it, and I've gotten a lot of feedback on it. We've asked a lot, but I think that's the benefit of Retail Rebel is that we have the outlet, the auction, the bins, and so we have these different channels that we can send product to, and so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take anything that's past that Best Buy date, send it to the bins. Um, So Ashley writes, and I appreciate the feedback. She drives it over an hour away to come. Honestly, it's not exciting like how it used to be. And Ashley, I would love to get some of the specifics on that, but I know that on the outlet side, I think you're going to start seeing some big differences there over the next little bit, and we're pretty excited about like again uh, the older inventory. We're doing a really big purge. You're going to start seeing some real big discount sales to move out categories of product, so we can put just a fresh new start on it. You're going to see that over the next few weeks. So you and then on the outlets or on the auction, or I'm sorry, on the bins side, the bins, we're going to start putting a lot more product in there and a lot of different types of product in there. And so I know that there's been some complaints about Dollar General. We had a ton of Dollar General, and I know that Dollar General, especially when it's loaded in there on the Friday or on Saturday and Sunday, it's not super exciting stuff. It's not and I think that it's those first few days are really exciting, and so when people come across the Dollar General on the weekend, it's not great. We recognize that, and we're going to be right sizing that, but we're just pushing all of it through, and by the later dates, it's by the later days in the week, it's great. So uh, the girls manager are amazing, and we do, and honestly, like again, we have a lot of, this is a safe place to give your honest feedback. That's the point. And so Richard writes, and this is, so we had a meeting on this today, Richard, and it's been an ongoing meeting. The outlet side pricing needs to be truly 30, 50, 70% off. Not sure what has charged, but scan pricing is too much. Um, so Richard, I appreciate you bringing that up. That has been, so one of the there's two ways in which you can get really good deals at Retail Rebel. Number one is when we price it and there's a big discount. Um, if we've underpriced it, which happens, like we'll go out to different websites and find a retail price that we can compete against. We call it a comp price. We try to put that as like what is the MSRP on this, and um, we sometimes we're a little high, sometimes we're a little low. What happens is the little low stuff sells right away every day. We have customers that go directly to the outlet side. They look for the different areas, and we've got smart shoppers. And um, if something's been priced too high, we have an automatic markdown. We try to do or an initial discount that we do, and then we try to do anywhere from 30 to, I think it's 50% off, is depending on the category of goods and so forth. And and then if it doesn't sell for a period of time, we have that little automatic markdown that happens on a daily basis, and that's when you scan that QR code. that's what that price is that automatic markdown that keeps going lower and lower. And so, we're looking into like, okay, is that markdown optimized? So we're looking at that. The pricing side of it, is it starting off on the right price? That's a much harder challenge to deal with. And I've worked at a 90 store liquidation chain, retail discount chain. And I've owned my own business with this, where we were leaned heavy on technology, and then I worked for a company in out west that did this. I've been in this industry for a very long time, for three different entities, and talked to a number of different business owners, and looked at that are in this space, and everyone has that same challenge. That's why the outlet is always going to be a little bit of a challenge in getting that right exact price. And if you don't have a good mechanism for moving through that older inventory, what happens is anything that was mispriced too high accumulates. And especially if we don't run sales like we didn't in August, then it looks like things are way overpriced, because you're just getting a lot of that accumulating. And so we are very actively running some really big discounts to purge through stuff. We're changing that starting discount price on a few of our categories. That we went and did a huge audit. We pulled hundreds of items from our stores. Looked at items off of the processing lines to kind of see, and then we manually checked the price against what other retailers are selling this stuff for, because we heard you. It was in these town hall meetings that we started seeing people saying, hey, we used to like the outlet, but it's priced too much. And we're like, well, we didn't change the pricing, did we? And so we've over the last literally 4 weeks, we've been looking very closely at this. And so we're making a bunch of different changes to see if we can get that. But one of the big things is we're just running some pretty deep sales to move a lot of product through, and then we're going to move a lot of product to the bins, and restock with brand new product. And so the outlets, hopefully, next town hall meeting, which is going to be a week before Black Friday next month, we'll get some feedback on how this is all working. You should see some pretty big changes. Let's see, that's when you can hold back the Dollar General, so you can put it out like in the middle of the week, so it's not getting trampled on, and it's still in good condition when the price point is more likely for it to sell. That's not a bad suggestion, Shyla. I think we're going to look at, so we've been, admittedly, we've been putting out and building these auctions and implementing them in the Midwest, and that's taken a lot of our focus. And we're bringing a lot of focus on the bins and the outlets in conjunction with everything else that we're doing now that we've rolled out these Council Bluffs. I haven't forgotten about you. We will get it in Council Bluffs and Audubon. If you're tuning in from Audubon, we're gonna figure out you're the store that keeps on chugging. So we may do a small auction up there or something like that. So we'll talk when we get closer. Yeah, as far as stocking product in the middle of the week, so it doesn't get damaged, that may not. Oh man, that's a great idea. So Donna, if you can maybe just send me a note or reminder on that one. I want to look at that because we have certain categories of product that we could do that with. And I think that's a great call out, that it would not get trampled and destroyed, throughout the week. Because the bins are great because it's this discovery, but I think sometimes it's just inadvertently when people are pushing stuff aside, like it gets messed up. And so those later days, unless it's got really resilient packaging, there's challenges there. So need more kitchen electronics merchandise in the Audubon store from Howard. Yeah, I think in really all stores, I think we're going to be pushing as much as we can. So that is one of the things, especially, I mean, if you're seeing, if you have one of the auctions in there, we are loading a lot of stuff that Retail Rebels never had in our retail stores, such as cell phone, iPhones, and laptops and things like that. And so, Tiffany, just have to be patient with it all. Everything isn't going to be perfect at first. Thank you so much. That's, and honestly, like, we want to move fast because we have some really ambitious goals, and we have really capable teams. That's the one thing that, it's been really nice to kind of look and say, look at, we've had a whirlwind of 4 months, including this, right? Like, we didn't do virtual town hall meetings before, and I feel like that they are constructive and helpful. Um, um, let's see. Where's the survey? So Joanne asks where the survey is. Everything has changed. Yes, everything has definitely changed, and will continue to change. But hopefully, we're continuing to make improvements. That's what we're ultimately working towards, is making the entire retail discount shopping, liquidation shopping experience good. The surveys are, if you go to retailrebel.com, um, there's a link, at the top right that's like share your thoughts. Let me see, retailrebel.com. Yep, share your thoughts. It's at the top right, and if you click on that, I promise you, we read through these, and we have a whole like team dedicated to our customer service, customer experience, and we're trying to evaluate. Okay, we know that we've got this problem, this problem, this problem. What's going to have the best impact first, and so. Your feedback is really helpful in helping us kind of address, okay, how big a problem is this? I do want to give a shout out. Susan reads, writes, love the Belton employees. Certainly love to hear that, because I do think that we have some really good employees, and I do think that we have training that we have to do, that we got to do better, and so. I think that there's probably a mix of that, and so, again, on the surveys, is a great place, especially if you want to get specific. I think that's part of transparency. Is that we need feedback, and if it's, and I'll tell you, on the surveys we ask the question, and I know I said this in the last one for sure, the last town hall. There's a question that says, how likely are you to recommend Retail Rebel to a friend or family member? And we put that in there because, I think that, well, one, I mean, if you're filling out the survey, the way I look at it is that means that you actually care. If you're watching and spending 30 minutes or an hour on a Thursday night to ask questions or submit input, then that means you care, and I definitely value that. But when someone says that they're very likely, or very likely to recommend Retail Rebel to a friend or family, but then they go and have a list of like, this sucks, these people are good, this is like, I take that as constructive. I mean, because that's that you want those things improved, and we want that improved, and so. And we handle it as we would want it to be handled. If someone's like, that CEO is a jerk, like, it'd be good for me to hear that and understand why. So if you can give some context, that helps too. And hopefully that doesn't mean I'm going to get a whole bunch of surveys that say your CEO is a jerk. Let's see, it's like at noon, late the store. So and it's not just the Olathe store. So there was a question of why the stores are not restocking at noon on Saturdays, and I wasn't directly involved with that decision. I think that there was just a little bit of kind of labor and product and challenge of like kind of closing things down and so forth. So Let me see. Let me see if I can get an answer on why we did that. I mean, I've got some ideas on why, but I wasn't directly involved with that one. So you need some of the big items from the warehouse on these local auctions. Rich obviously does the auctions at the warehouse as well. So as many of you know, we have great big warehouse auctions run very different from our retail auctions, and that is typically where we send like the full size appliances or large sofa sets or really big things, and that Rich is definitely in the long term plans is to move a lot of those big items out to retail stores for auction. Um, and so that is a part of the plan. Um, because if it works, boy, I can tell you we can go after like full furniture loads and have enough product to send it to the warehouse auctions and the retail auctions. It just comes down to the economics at the end of the day. Like, can we get a really great we might be able to get a really good furniture deal, but if we don't have a customer base that supports that, can pay. I don't know. I mean, if the deal is for 25% of retail, and we're able to turn it in auction for let's say 40% of retail, and I'm throwing those numbers out there on furniture. I'm actually not. Don't know exactly where that should fall, but um, then yeah, we can turn it really fast, and hopefully that becomes a really good customer experience for everyone. Um, let's see. So, um, there's a question about rewards, and honestly, like I don't think we're going to be doing anything with the rewards until next year. Um, uh, like cash back or additional discounts or things. There's a number of really big technical projects that we're doing, so we're rewriting a whole bunch of software and so that one we certainly like we definitely have some ideas about how to make a really good program for folks that have shopped with us a long time and kind of a rewards membership type deal, and some benefits to that. Uh, let's see. It's great. Audubon store is an awesome outlet store. So I love to hear that. So admittedly, Audubon is the one store I have not been to yet. I've been to Council Bluffs, and obviously all of the retail rebels in the Kansas City area, but I have not been to Audubon yet. So I will definitely make the pilgrimage out there. I owe that team a visit. Um, let's see. There we go. So Richard writes, the CEO is a jerk. Just kidding. um, so Brandon's giving feedback on the auction. So this is interesting feedback, Brandon. The auction warehouse needs more love. This week was the worst yet. So I'm curious because I've actually heard. I mean, we're getting both sides of that one. Resellers want a lot more product on the pallets, but a lot of folks like kind of more like items on the pallets, and so I think that they did a little bit of trying out kind of the more similar or bigger high value stuff on an item by itself. So we'll see. We need more knife pallets. Knife pallets are definitely that's one that we do. So Brandon's talking specifically the warehouse auction at in Liberty, and yeah, the knife we get those as often as we can, and this is the opportunity business, and so we're always like one of the things that the auctions have helped do for the bins and for the outlet is it's opened up a lot of different types of buying that we couldn't normally do. because we didn't have a way of really getting value out of it. And so you're going to continue to see a big increase of the different type of mix that we're getting in the bins, and also eventually in the outlet. Now the outlet, we've got a ton of product in there, and you're going to see a lot of, like, especially the apparel. Keep an eye on the apparel. When we change out the apparel for the winter, there should be some really good stuff in there as well. Um, in Liberty, can we do warehouse auction online and then pick up in Liberty? Let's see. So So specifically on the warehouse auction, so we're starting to get the warehouse auction folks on here, which is warehouse auction night. The so we don't have plans to change that yet. Right now, in order to participate in the auctions, you have to come on site and look at the product. And there's some huge advantages to that. Holy cow! I've seen a lot of warehouse auctions. In fact, this month I went on a tour of 3 different auction houses, and some friends of mine and 3 different friends of mine showed me how they do auctions, and we do it very different, and I think that it solves a huge problem, because one of the big problems that a lot of the warehouse auctions have is that they don't it's really hard to get good pictures and describe things well for that type of product. And so by really requiring customers to come in and look at the product to bid on it, it helps us, so there's no ambiguity. It's like, that's it right there, and that's what you're bidding on. And so that's, if we were to try to do an inspection protection guarantee on the warehouse auction, it would not work. It's just it's too all over the place for the type of product that's there. And most every other warehouse auction does the as is, but they'll let you do remote bidding, and that there's oftentimes a problem of coming in later, just looking at pictures, and then you come in to pick it up, and then you're like, this is not what I wanted. And so I think that it works pretty well right now. We are trying to get the right mix of, like, is this is it something that customers for the warehouse auction find great value in it, and so I think we did like 1,700 lots tonight. So that was, or today, so that was absolutely huge. Hey, we got a star. I don't know what that means. So thank you for sending a star. Let's see. So I do want to read what's the point. Okay, so Jeremy, you ask a very good question. What's the point of a lot of your auctions items starting at $10 when they're not worth even $10? So there isn't a point. Training. It's a training I recognize that we had some, like, Halloween costume, like Halloween masks that are like, I don't know, they were like $10 or $8, like, and they made it over to those auctions, and and we go through it. I go through and look, and I'm like, okay, this is where we need to train and get some of that stuff fixed. So that shouldn't happen. In fact, one of the changes that you're going to start seeing is, again, we have auctions in, like, the Southeast that have been going for a year and a half, almost 2 years, and apparel and automotive are really big categories down there. Well, apparel and automotive are not really big categories in the Midwest yet, and so we're actually raising the threshold. So we're going to be only putting higher value items of those 2 categories in the auctions. So you're going to see a lot less apparel in there, but the apparel that you see in there should be a higher value apparel, or higher priced apparel, and you can get it for $10. And so that's one of the things that we're doing. And if we get a lot of customers that start buying apparel, we'll start putting more apparel in that fall in that $30, $35 price range, which will include things like Levi's jeans other things like that. You can get a cheaper pair of Reeboks or Nike shoes for $40 or $40 retail, and people will be glad to pay $10 for them. But we're not there yet, and we want to develop out that market. And so as customers get more comfortable buying clothing that way, then we'll put more clothing in these auctions. Again, right now we're putting, on average, we're trying to put about 800 items, 800 lots per retail auction, and then as the customer base starts coming in and buying more and more, and the bids start going up, then we'll put more product in, which will push the bids down. But as long as we can make a little bit of money and continue to grow, I mean, it's hard to make money, when you're selling on average items for 80% off or 75% off, which is what we're doing in a lot of cases. And so but we know that customers are getting familiar with this. And so in the Southeast, the store that's been running these auctions for a long period of time, we do 2,000 to 2,100 lots every 2 days. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and there's a huge amount of customers that are bidding. I mean, we've had over 700 customers bid in those auctions, and 400 to 500 unique winners per auction. So we feel like that's where we can get to with the auctions in Retail Rebel stores. We'll just grow it as the customer base, as we start getting a good mix of product in there that customers appreciate. Let's see. So far away. So Karina asks, maybe a second warehouse auction. That location is so far away. So transparently, Karina, probably not. We will have other warehouse locations, but they're going to be really far away. Like we actually are opening one up in North Carolina. The goal is to actually build a lot more of our Retail Rebel stores, and each of our warehouses where we hold the warehouse auctions should be able to support having, like, it's an enormous, if you've been to the Liberty warehouse, it's a big building, and that should be able to support 25, 30 stores. And so we want to open up a lot more stores before we open up oh man before we open up more warehouses. So I do want to, and so I've been talking about the stores in the Southeast, and Diane, I sure do I sure do appreciate you. She's one of our great customers in the Southeast, and has been on these virtual town halls up or down in Atlanta and North Carolina, and so it's always nice to see a familiar name. There is management that actually cares. Take time to explain things. So Debbie, that's a really nice comment. So Debbie writes, I think it's great that there's management that actually cares enough to try to talk to us and explain things. Thank you very much. And I mean, I love it. I think it's healthy in relationships, right? So I mean, to be able to talk about things, and it works in marriages when you can talk about things with your spouse, and I think it works in business when you're talking to customers and having. I mean, I think is a great format for having those types of feedback and interactions. Let's see, and many times they're not as described. Okay, so John asks, since the online auctions, retail auctions, are sight unseen, and many times are not as described due to lack of inspection, buyers should be able to refuse without question. These are the most always returned, used, or people return used and defective items. I had an item I wanted to reject, but they would not accept it back. I'd like to see more apparel. I think the auctions should start at $5, especially on those lower retail value items. Overall, I enjoyed both online and pallet auctions. Thanks for taking the time to respond to questions. Keep up the good work. I know you guys are killing it with these auctions. So you know what? Honestly, like John's comment on there, I love that. Because I think it's really helpful feedback. Um, the they're the best thing that we can do on the auctions to be accurate. And we do look at, like, if in these auctions, I mean, you can save 70 to 80% off of retail, and that's a huge savings. And part of that like deal right now with the customers, is that those that it is disappointing to win something for so cheap, and you get there and you open it up. I've done that where I won a pair of shoes and I was really excited about it, and I went to pick it up and opened it up, and it was a used pair of shoes, and it wasn't like new. It was described as open box. And this was in the southeast, but I'm sure there are people that have had that experience here, and it is disappointing. But I can also tell you that I have not the pair I'm wearing right now, but I won a pair of boots that were amazing deal. I would have paid twice that price on Amazon for them. And that would have been like, I would have paid twice that price. I got it for about 40% of retail, and I was thrilled, because I really like that brand. Um, and so, like, there's a little bit of a trade-off. That's why we do that inspection protection guarantee. And I do feel like, if we can have a good understanding between, what it is that we offer to have a really deep discount, because the cost to inspect every single item with great detail, is pretty expensive. It's really expensive especially when you're selling it for 70, 80% off. It just becomes very prohibitive, to make money. And we have to be able to make a profit, doing this. Otherwise, we go out of business. And so that's the trade-off, and that's why we have that inspection protection guarantee. And most of our customers, on average, the average customer in Kansas City, and I need to I need to check it. I haven't checked. I checked it last month, but it was like 4 point something items, which that's great, because on average the return rate, is about 18%, which is pretty high. And that's from a dollar standpoint. The actual items return rate is less than that, which, it's closer to like 13%, I think. But the that means that it's a little bit higher priced items. But we had a and they're and I know I'm saying it wrong. It's the Le Crescent. It's those big cast iron, pretty kitchen things, and it was like a $300 cast iron pot. And um, and I looked at it. It was returned, and so we issued the full refund, and it came back, and the pot was just perfect. Nothing wrong with it. The lid was gorgeous, perfect, except on the very top, it was dented. And they had paid like 200 and something dollars for it. And that's one of those deals where we 100% should have taken that back, because it was the wrong condition. We had it as new, and if you're going to spend $200 on a pot, like a kitchen pot, you want that better be perfect, And so, it's a but there's a lot of value in that, and so there's a trade off. Let's see. Cindy asks, is there a 10% buyer's fee added to the online auctions, like at the warehouse? And yes, we do a 10% buyer's premium in the auctions at retail. And in the auction space, that tends to be fairly. I mean, that is like the practice. I mean, EquipBid. I think someone brought up EquipBid on here. I think they're like 18% or something like that. I mean, it's. I could be wrong, but I was looking at that. And it goes for it because it is a little bit different model, and we pay for software and so forth. Um, it has to be done right there, and when you have a lot of items. So Donna brings up inspection protection is hard when it has to be done right then and there, and when you have a lot of items. And I agree, and especially when you have a lot of people there. And so Donna, I can tell you that that's one of those things that we're looking at on. I know that obviously many of you that have done the auctions know that we have the we'll issue 7-day return policy for any item that you can't test there, and that can be things like video cards or maybe laptops or cell phones. Like if you need to verify that that it works, all of that stuff that you can't thoroughly do there. So we do have a 7-day for that type of product, but I think what you're talking about specifically, obviously, is like I've seen shopping carts with 20 items, 30 items, and when it gets into the holidays, like man, people do their Christmas shopping through the auctions. You're going to see a lot of that, and so we'll have to look at that. I don't know what the solution is on that, but I think that that's an improvement that we can make. And it may be a little bit of like a service that you can pay for or something, and not a ton of money, but just enough to to kind of cover the I don't know. Let me see. We're gonna figure something out there. Between like new and lightly used. So Donna asked the question, what is the difference between like new and lightly used? So I had that same question today. So we like no joke, we've been going through the conditions on the auctions and how we're gonna like what's the right mix that we should put in there that makes sense for everything. That was one that I was looking at, and as I look at it, like new can mean. And by the way, our goal is that we're gonna have this all printed, and printed like clearly online, and we're gonna print it clearly in all of the auction areas in the retail stores. But yeah, the difference between like new is it could be like a new item that the box is all torn up, or it's but the item is like new. Maybe I got some dirt because it fell out of the box and fell on the ground, but they weren't used. It's in used, like that pair of boots that I was telling you about. They had a little bit of dirt on the bottom, like someone had worn them once to try them out and didn't like them. And for me, it's great. I saved 60% off retail on them, and I've worn them many times, and they're awesome. So I think that's the difference. But more specific, or I guess more generally, Donna, we are going to be printing kind of what it means on each of these conditions, both online and in the auction pickup areas, to help just kind of clarify. I think that's good. Eric writes, love Retail Rebel. Mark and Polly are our favorites. I love Mark and Polly. What do you do if someone wins an auction and never picks up? So right now, if they win an auction and don't pick up, that is the item goes back on auction, but the money stays with the company right now. And one of the reasons why most of the time the big part is to discourage people from winning auctions and not coming and picking up, which we've had as a really big problem in the past, and that's why we changed to that policy. We've done this one now for about a year and a half, and I would say, if there's like an extenuating circumstance and it's like a lot of money, hundreds of dollars, that's one of those things that I don't want to say we've made exceptions, But it's something that we really discourage people from winning and not coming and picking up, um, because it also keeps it from other people winning, and so but that's what the current policy is. Um, and then creator writes, it is disappointing to win, but get there and your items can't be found. So Karina, we do track when items are not found, and in the very beginning, there were some issues, and we've addressed a few of them, and that percent is going way down. We track that every single week. We pull that up to see how many not founds and or couldn't find, and so that's going back. That and I 100% agree. There's no reason for that, or there shouldn't be a reason for that. We know what reasons there are, and but those are preventable up until theft, right? And so that was part of the problem too, which we found. And as soon as we caught the person in one of the stores that was stealing, amazingly the not founds went way low, and you didn't see very many of that. Oftentimes, not founds increase when you have a whole lot of product in the boxes, and it just is really hard to find as you're going through and trying to find, and there's 25 or 30 items in a box. So that's one of the things that we're looking at training on as well, is not putting so much product in one box. So we're working on that. Tiffany asks, do you all do donations for toy drives? We've done over 10 years. Children's Mercy Hospital, last year we donated 20,000 in toys. Our goal is to fill a U-Haul. So I know last year Retail Rebel had a whole lot of toys, and it was a huge Target deal. We have not come across that same deal right now. So toys we just don't have a ton of right now, which we are working to try to get some for the holiday season. We get a lot of toys. This is one of those things when people are like, "Hey, you're pulling all the good stuff for auction." It's not that way, because it's how we buy, and so we get a lot of toys that come on the loads that we're purchasing, primarily for our auctions, and we get a lot of the any toys that are under $25 are going into the bins. We don't have a way that we've been able to pull those out yet, and put into the outlet. So anyway, I guess, sorry, Tiffany, I'm getting off track. There will be toys in the outlet, toys on the auction, and I don't think we're going to have a ton in the outlet, but because of that, we really don't have very many, and so we're not in a great position to do donations on that. But certainly appreciate what you're doing. I think that's my wife works for Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, and and I know that they are. I'm very appreciative of those companies, and Children's Mercy is the same deal. Okay, sorry, I am answering the question. Absolutely. Let me. I want to, let's see. Honestly, there have been some really, really great questions on here. So John asks, what if someone doesn't pick it up? Could the item go to the previous bidder? So let me say that there's a lot of things that we're working on that we want to add in as we go. And so you're going to see, and that's one of the benefits of these virtual town halls, is because we're not done innovating, we're not done adding things to the stores, and that includes the store side, the outlet side. It includes the bins, and it includes the auctions, and so there's a lot that we want to add over the next honestly probably 6 months to a year, but that's let's see. but that is a, something that we'll be letting everyone know. Um, let's see. I've had several issues with auctions not being able to check there. Definitely takes a lot of time to inspect, but some things you can't check just by plugging in. If there's no instructions to verify all the parts are there, just have a 7-day return policy on all items. Um, if you win at a great price, most people would want it to work out and not return. So, and Andrea, that's a good. I mean, it's a good question, and one we've certainly looked at, and I think one of the we may look at that. I mean, I think that there's some value of, just addressing it right when it's there. Truthfully, you know, we see this, and one of the things. I mean, you've seen this, like, a lot of the items, most of the items that we sell are selling in these auctions are returns, and from Amazon. And what you see is a reflection of, kind of how the returns market works. And the vast majority of the items that are returned are brand new. They are brand new. You know, buyer's remorse, showed up, the package was bent up or whatever. I took it out, looked at it, wasn't what they wanted, sent it back. Bought three different shirts, picked the one they wanted, sent the other two back. Like, that is the vast majority. That's why the model works. And lightly used, definitely, you get a bunch in there as well. And then there's a category of just theft. Someone buys, uh, what was it that I bought? There was an item. I think it was a speaker. Yeah, it was a speaker that I bought. No, it was a projector. I'm sorry. I bought a projector last year, and when I got it, I opened it up, and it was a projector, but it was an older, much cheaper model, and and that's, it's unfortunate, and we see a huge amount of it. It doesn't happen all the time, but you see theft, and because we're not really inspecting every single item, we want that done in store to help prevent from people doing that. Going and taking something home and being like, bringing it back in 7 days and saying, okay, this isn't what it was at all. And it's like, well, we want to avoid having to make that decision of, okay, was that actually the case, or was that not the case? Um, so that is a, truthfully, the reason why. Um, and so, look at all those pretty designs. Um, anyway, I certainly, there's a lot more happening next month. I want to uh, definitely invite everyone. Invite your friends. There's going to be some really big things happening next month. And so we'll send out a virtual town hall invite for that in a few weeks when it gets a little closer. But I sincerely, our team, we all really appreciate the feedback that you guys are giving, because it is helpful in having us just figure out, okay, where do we need to focus our efforts on to really, especially for this holiday season. I think this holiday season is going to be really important because, you know, there's everyone needs to save a little bit of money, and in this economy right now, if your dollar can go a lot further, that is everyone wins. And so we have a way that you can save a lot of money, and we've have a lot of really hardworking, smart people that are trying to make this happen. So we certainly appreciate it. Again, if you've got any ideas or any thoughts, please put them in the share your thoughts. I promise you, we look at them, we read them, and it's been incredibly helpful. I've been with Retail Rebel now for 4 months, and I love it. It is so much fun being up here and meeting a lot of good folks, both people I work with and customers, and so certainly appreciate everything that you guys are doing. And if Diane and anyone else from the southeast, if you're on here, we certainly appreciate you guys too. So we'll go ahead and conclude this virtual town hall. Um, Great questions, and we certainly we look forward to seeing you soon.